Everybody, welcome to my channel. Today we have a very good problem for you guys called simplified paths. This is a very good problem, so make sure to pay close attention to the problem statement, right? So you're given an absolute path for a Unix style system, right? File system, so which always begins with a slash, right? Your task is to transform this absolute path into its simplified canonical path, right? So the rules of a Unix style file system are as follows. A single period represents the current directory. A double period represents the previous parent directory, right? And multiple consecutive slashes such as double slash, triple slashes, or treated as a single slash. Okay, any sequence of periods that does not match the rules above should be treated as a valid directory or file name. For example, a triple dot or a 4 dots, right, or a valid directory or file names, right? So the simplified canonical path should follow these rules, right? A simplified version, right? So the path must start with a single slash. Okay, interesting. Directories within the path must be separated by 1 slash. The path must not end with a slash unless it is the root directory. Okay, the root path must not have any single or double periods used to denote the current or parent directory. Okay, so we need to remove any. Okay, interesting, guys. It says return the simplified canonical path, right? So pretty interesting prompt statement, right? As you guys can see, right, we're given this this path, right? And we need to return this simplified canonical path version of the path that we're given, right? So yeah, so they've given us the rules, right, how it should be, right? So it should be with a leading start with a slash, right? And then it must not end with a slash as well, right? Must not end with that unless it's the root directory. Okay, so it says the directories are separated by the slashes, guys, right? That's kind of what's important to us, guys. All right, so let's go through the example to solidify the ask, right? To better understand the ask, right? So we have path home, we just return home, right? It doesn't end with some of the rules that they want, right? It must not end with a slash unless it is the root, guys, right? Okay, so this example is the same. Home foo, we return home, and then 1 slash. We ignore redundant slashes, right? It could have 3, 4, right? It's all going to be treated as a single slash. That's how it should be treated as, right? They've told us right there, guys, right? Such as 2 slash to 3 slash must be treated as a single slash. Okay, what else? Home user documents, right? So home user document. So this is a very special one because we have a double dot, right? We see we have home, we have user, but document's not there, right? What happens to document, right? So when we encounter a double dot, right, we need to remove whatever document, right, whatever directory, right, whatever directory preceded the double dot, right? So to show that we went up to its parent, right, because they've told us that when we encounter a double dot, right, represents the previous parent's directory, right? So whatever the previous is, right, you go up to its parents, right? So that's kind of what they did there, right? So we went up back to user, right, and we just added pictures, right? Right. So the CD is we go up to the previous directory that was there, right? Before the last one, right, to its parent, essentially. We'll go up lower. I said that's kind of what they said in the explanation, right? So this one you try to go up to its parent, right? But that's the root, right? There's nowhere you could go, all right? That's it. And this one is a little bit interesting, right? We have 3 dots, right? And they've told us that if we see anything other than a double dot, right? If it's 3, 4, right? Then it means that it must be a file name or directory, right? If we see a single dot, right, then it means that we do nothing, right? Pretty much we stay in the same directory. It doesn't affect anything. Okay, so that's kind of what it is, right? So we went through a couple of examples and it fully kind of, made you understand like what kind of ask what exactly that we need to do, right? So we know that we need to process the string, guys, right? And do some sort of work, right? To do something. And what exactly do we need to do, right? We need to simplify it, right, based on those given rules, right? Let's go through a couple of simple examples. So this one, right, I'm thinking we just go ahead and get this whatever thing that it has, right? We remove the slash, the last slash, right, if it has one, and then we just return it, right? It's a simple case. It can't really help us to kind of craft it, right? Let's go to this one, right, where we have multiple, right? So we have home, then we have foo. How would we know to just add 1 slash, right? Do we go ahead and count for every time we trying to count any slash double for loop? It's not gonna work. I don't think that's overcomplicated it, right? So we could do it a bit simpler. What we're gonna need to do, guys, what I'm thinking is we're gonna need to kind of separate every directory, right? So that we could process things individually. Okay, it's gonna be useful, right? Especially when we need to make decisions or not, right? To remove a previous directory, right? Like for this example, obviously double dot, we need to remove a previous directory, right? Yeah, so that's what we need to do, right? We're gonna need to easily be able to do that, right? So what I'm thinking, we're gonna need to split it based on the delimiter, right? The thing that separates the different directories, right? Which is the slash, guys, right? So in doing so, we can process every directory independently, right? And easily, right? Without having to do repeated work, right? We could process them individually and make a decision, right? That's what. So yeah, so that's exactly what we're doing. So we're gonna split it based on that. Then we get home foo, and then once we have the multiple slashes, right? It also we could also account for them, because if we as we're processing, right, output result, if we encounter an empty string, right, which would happen if we use the delimiter, the slashes, right? So there's nothing in between those two slashes, so it would be an empty string. So we would just return. We would just skip that, right, and then now process, because we don't want to process an empty string, guys, right? Because it doesn't form a directory name or a file name, right? So that's kind of what we need to do, right? So after we do that, we split it based on that, right? We get like a string. The next thing that we're going to need to do is to just go ahead and process it, right? And as we're processing, we would add it to our output result, right? We had home, we had foo, and at the end we just return we just join everything, right? That's every directory, right? We just join them based on a slash, guys, right? But this one's pretty good so far, but we need to handle the case now, right, of the double dot, right? So now that we know that we're gonna need to process everything one by one, right? Home, user, document, right? And we encounter double dot, right? And once we encounter double dot, we need to do some sort of a decision, guys, right? We need to make sure that we remove, right, whatever previous thing over previous directory that preceded the double dot, guys, right? So how could we easily do that, right? So the data structure of choice, right, that could help us to process things in that way, right? Whatever last thing that we put in is the first thing that we can have access to or get out, right? The stack data structure obviously is the data structure of choice that will help us in this situation, right? So we loop through, add everything to a stack, right? And as we're going through, we encounter double dot, we check everything that we added last, right? And then we go ahead and pop this thing off the stack, right? And then we go up to its parent, right? And then and we keep going, and we see the next one, we just added append it to the collection of things that we're collecting, right? The list of things, right? Which is we're using the stack for, right? So, and just like that, after that, at the end of it, right, we simply just join everything with a slash, right? Everything that's left in the stack, right, that didn't get popped off, right? Then we just join them, and then we return the answer to the caller, right? So let's go through a quick example. I think it'll make a lot of sense to you guys, right? So yeah, we get this path, guys, right? So home, user, documents, right? So like I said earlier, we're going to split it based on the slashes, right? So it would look like that. We will have home, then the next one will be user, right? The next one will be documents, right? And the next one would be a dot, right? And then the last one would be pictures, right? Just that's how it would look like, right? After we split it based on these slashes, right? Using the slashes as a delimiter, right? So after that, we do that, right? We gotta go ahead and process each individual token, right? Individual path or directory or file name, whatever it is, right? So we're just gonna loop through. So as we're looping through, guys, right? We use get stack, guys, right? The stack is gonna help us in having storing storing the elements, right? And processing things in last in first out kind of manner, right? So for when we encounter a double dot, right? So the stack is going to be very simple. So we go to home. Home is only simple. We just add it to home, right? The next one is user. We go ahead and type user. The next one is documents, right? Simple. And then we encounter a dot, right? So we get to this one, and then we're like, oh wow. So the whatever last one, we need to go up to its parent, right? So we need to whatever directory we're on, right? Just go up one level up, right? So one level up is user. So we remove document from there because we went to the previous one, right? So we got user here, and then the next one that we go to is pictures. And just like that, we are in good shape. We simply put, we would use a stream builder, so the result would look like that. So the result will look like that. So the result will be a slash, right? We'll put a slash. Then we're gonna put home, right? And then we go on to the next one again. We put a slash again, slash user, right? Every time we put a slash before, and then slash pictures, right? And just like that, we would just return the result, guys, right? You know, so this is the exact result that we need and we want, right? So that's gonna be how the algorithm is gonna work, right? We split it based on the delimiter, right, which is the slash, right? Then we get a list of, you know, path directories of file names, right? We get a list of that, and then we could process them individually, right? And as we process them, right, we add them to the stack. And once we encounter a double dot, right, we go up one level, right? If the stack's not empty, we pop whatever's at the top, because whatever's at the top, that's the path that, you know, we go up one level up to its parent, right? You know, we're not accounting for that anymore. It gets canceled out, right? You know, because we go up one level, okay? And then once we do that, we are in good shape. Yeah. So once we encounter like one dot, right? One dot, we do nothing, right? You know, we don't do anything. We skip it, right? And if it's empty as well, we don't do anything, right? So it's kind of how the algorithm is gonna work, guys, right? So hopefully the code makes even more sense than the explanation, guys, right? So tokens will be path that splits based on what? Based on the slash, right? Okay, so after that, what we're gonna do, we're gonna pretty much declare our stack data structure, right? It looks good so far, and then we're gonna loop through the digit for token, right? So token and tokens. If the token, right, is empty, or the token, right, equals to a one dot, right? That's one of the cases that we don't do anything, right? We simply skip it to continue. Okay. And then the other case that we need to worry about, if the case where we get a double dot, right? That's one of the main things here, right? Equals to a double dot. So if it equals to a double dot, then what I'm going to do here, I'm going to pop whatever is at the top of the stack, right? But before I do that, what I'm going to do is to simply do a simple check, right? If the stack is not empty, right? You know, because we don't want to get exceptions, right? That's kind of what I'm doing here. We do stop that pop, right? Other than that, I'm gonna push whatever token that I'm processing, right? It must be a directory or file name, right? Because we've been handled like the other cases, okay? So after we do that, what's next for us is to have our string builder, right? Which was the last step that we did, guys. Right? New string builder. All right. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna loop through the stack that we have, right? Let's call it what? Path name, whatever you want to call it. So we're gonna look through all the stuff in the stack, right? You know, just like I was doing in the walkthrough. Okay. So we get home, then user, then pictures, right? So what we're gonna do is to do SB data append, right? We're gonna append a slash, right? You know, then we're gonna append the directory or file name, whatever it is, right? You know, okay. It's called a path component, right? Okay. Okay, just like that. After that, we should be in good shape, man. We're gonna simply, so in the case of the stack's empty, right? So if it's greater than 0, then we're gonna simply do toString. That means we add the string, right? Add stuff in the stack, right? That's why we to go into this for loop. And otherwise, we're gonna return an empty thing, right? So pretty much the quick recap. The quick recap is gonna be we have a stack structure. We split it based on the slashes, right? You know, they would process things. We need a stack just that we can remember whatever thing that we had in the anything that preceded a double dot, right? It's kind of what it's very useful for, right? So that we could pop from it, right? Wherever that we need to have access to the last thing that we put in, right? You know, that we're processing. Okay, that's what the stack is useful for. They would process if it's empty or if it's a dot, then there's no action to be taken. And then if it's a double dot, we pop. If it's not, we just add it, right? So as simple as that, right? So Let's kind of quickly run the code, see if we didn't make any mistake. Of course we did. Forgot to put the question mark. Might be. It looks good. Press submit. Awesome, guys. We'll pass all the test cases, guys. If you guys found value, you guys enjoyed this video, let me know in the comment section. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe because we'll be doing a lot of other videos just like this one. So I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next.